Hi everybody, my name is Bella from Taiwan. My topic for today's presentation is English only is a good way to learn English, but the contents for my presentation include introduction, statement of problem, research questions, review of literature, method, results, conclusions, and pedagogical implications. Introduction 1. With different reasons and purposes, the paradigms of learners' first language in the field of second language or foreign language teaching and learning have shifted from the grammar translation method, mostly using the learner's first language as a medium of instruction and translation techniques, to the direct method and audiolingual method strictly employing the target language, and to total physical response and the communicative language teaching, advocating the use of TL as a dominance but allowing little room for the use of L1 for more than 2 centuries. Changes in the language teaching approaches are the responses to the need of language learners. In English language teaching, people believe that a native teacher is the ideal teacher to offer the English class, and that the best way to learn the target language is to be immersed in it. The more English is offered and the more chances there are to be used English, the better the chances of language goals will be reached. However, more and more research studies have proved that the use of L1 in the TL increases both learning and comprehension of the learner's acquisition of the TL. When employed properly, the use of L1 can be a facilitating tool, not an impediment, in the learning and the teaching process. Statement of problem. Despite the low level of English proficiency of many of the learners, English is expected to be the dominant classroom language in the English classes. Some of studies argue that maximizing TL use will result in positive effects on learners' performances. However, recent studies on TL use have revealed this may not be the case. The research finding from one study implies that although the participants sense that their English listening comprehension improved by means of English instruction, they feel frustrated about the loss of knowledge conveyed by English. The participants in Young's study report that they concern to the importance of Chinese use in English writing class. They favor in the use of Chinese in context like receiving grammar instruction, talking to their peers and teacher, and taking notes. Thus, if Chinese can be used as a supplementary means to enhance the learning environment, even though it definitely cannot replace English as the main instructional medium, it may be an effective way to ensure student accomplishment. Research questions. This study is done to find out teachers' and students' attitudes and opinions concerning the medium of instruction in the English class to facilitate the students' learning processes, and further in the hope for upgrading their English ability by providing a more efficient and present learning environment. To achieve these aims, the following research questions guide the study. Research question 1. What attitudes do EFL teachers hold towards the use of Chinese in the English class? Research question 2. What are the opinions of EFL teachers and students with different English proficiency levels towards the use of Chinese in the English class? Review of Literature 1. Supporters for TL. Sharpen says that the learner's entire ability in the TL can be accomplished by way of the teacher supplying a TL setting, where instruction, drills, and classroom disciplines are implemented in the TL. Turnbull also maintains that language teachers must magnify the amount of TL use in class to benefit their students, particularly those who have no other sources to the TL environment after class. Crawford manifests that teacher use of the TL is vital in the foreign language classroom because it might be the only source of life supplying the learner with scaffolded input. Review of Literature 2. The supporters for L1 use. Cummings sustains. The knowledge acquired by the learner will be transferred to the TL and will still continue to be valid and developed. The learner's pre-existing knowledge, which refers to trigger the L1 of learner, makes contributions to the language learning process, as well as to the academic abilities acquired in the L1, which can be transferred to the TL. Cook claims that exclusive use the TL is not equal to bring about maximum language learning. There should be room for the teacher to employ the learner's L1 in language teaching. Need of L1 use for instructional purposes. The most conspicuous reason that questions the effectiveness of emerging programs is the learner's inability to understand incoming language. The learner gets lost easily when teachers talk to them in the target language, simply because they are not ready for it. To be exact, their linguistic knowledge or competence about the TL is not sufficient for them to cope with the arriving message. This statement corresponds with question's input hypothesis, which assumes that language acquisition occurs when the learner is expected to sources of comprehensible input. Darbong and Spada suggest that probably the most effective way for the LEP learner to connect the new knowledge to his structure of existing knowledge is to employ his L1 to learn the target language. This is also supported by schemata theory, referring to how learners acquire and sort out new knowledge based on their prior knowledge. Studies in favor of L1 use. The use of L1 in foreign language teaching creates a friendlier atmosphere than English only in the class. Mentioned on Wechsler's study, no matter how hard adult language learners may try, it seems that they cannot get rid of the influence of their L1. They always, almost, utilize a translation strategy to decode the incoming input. Miles carried out 2 experiments about Japanese use in his English class. According to his finding, Miles contends that L1 use does not hamper learning and L1 use in the class assists learning. On their survey study, DS et al. Explored 21 English language teachers in Japan. The research finding also revealed that the teachers use L1 wisely and carefully during lecturing improve students' achievements. Method. Instrumentation. The questionnaire used in this study is composed of questionnaire on the use of Chinese in English class and individual background questionnaire. The participants were 592 students enrolled in general English classes and 48 teachers of a comprehensive university in Taiwan. Totally, there are 640 participants in the study. Results. Reliability for questionnaire on the use of Chinese in English class. Convey's alpha coefficient was 0.94 and the KMO was 0.93. These results support the validity of factor analysis usage for this study. Principal access factoring was performed to extract initial factors. The rule of eigenvalue greater than 1 was applied in the selection of factors. As a result, 4 factors were formed, which accounted for 67.7% of the variance on original QUECE items. Factor 1 is about the function of L1 use and utilize L1 to account for new L2 words. Factor 2 consists of items which involve the learner's perceived viewpoint of L1 use in teaching and learning. Factor 3 is about when learners are permitted to use their L1 in their learning. And the factor 4 consists of items that focus on the use of L1 to verify learners' understanding. Research question 1 asks, what attitudes do EFL teachers hold towards the use of Chinese in class? To answer the question, an independent t-test was performed to examine the opinions of Chinese English teachers and native English teachers. As the results disclose, there are statistically significant differences between these two groups in these 4 factors. Furthermore, the item average for each factor suggests the perspectives of native English teacher and Chinese English teachers on the 4 factors. As uncovered, CET endorses factor 1 with the average over 3, which is pretty high mean as well as the highest mean among these 4 factors. Research question 2 asks, what are the opinions of EFL teachers and students with different English proficiency levels towards the use of L1 in English class? To answer the question, one way ANOVA is performed to determine if any significant differences exist in employing Chinese in class with respect to different groups. The result also revealed there are statistically significant differences on the 4 factors. The item average on this table reveals that NET is prone to disagree on these 4 factors. And it appears that the averages of the participants' responses to the 4 factors are that label D is greater than label C, label C greater than label B greater than label A greater than CET, and CET greater than NET. Here comes my conclusions. The monolingual approach, which is only one of the teaching methods, cannot fit all teaching environments. Many approaches have their positions and the techniques which can be used effectively in the classroom. Avoiding the learner's L1 definitely limits the teacher's options to apply these approaches and techniques. And Chinese instruction seems to be more effective for low achievers. In theory, EFL students should be gradually exposed to English and be encouraged to use English as much as they can. However, in reality, it does not happen in that way. English only is an ideal in learning ESL or EFL, whereas prudent use of Chinese in the class by both teacher and student can facilitate the learning process. Pedagogical implications. Avoidance of Chinese is impractical. Sensible use of Chinese in English classroom can save time and convey clear messages which can assist in the teaching and learning processes. To minimize the learner's fear or anxiety in the whole English instruction and to maximize the efficient learning outcome, Chinese English teachers should not hesitate to use Chinese when necessary while lecturing, especially for low achievers. The communicative approach, which invites students to discuss their experiences and other issues with regard to language learning, is recommended to practice in the class to promote their attitudes, tasks, and incentives to acquire the target language. That's all for my today's presentation. Thank you. Have a nice day.